Finding relevance or purpose in modern society is like looking for a good lay in a monastery. And other insights from a dipshit with a YouTube channel. Hi, I'm Jesse. Welcome to the Scatterbrain Devotional. This is the first full-length video I'm making. So what strikes me as strange about growing up, at least for me, is how much is lobbed onto you as to what you expected from you. But no real definite tutor or person to guide you through this internship. Someone to say, here's all that is expected of you, here's how to do it, and why you should do it. We're just sort of left to the tide of susceptibility through experiencing others' views. We come across the type of people that think they have their finger on the pulse of life despite having the worst track record of life choices. Me being one of those people. I'm not the best judge of character, but I think I'd rather take my chances rather than have someone that's burned their own bridges entirely. I've done enough of that in my own life. People are apt to be so convinced of their own morality to the point of dogmatism that I ask if I'm somehow a failure in not being so forthright about what I view as right and wrong. Should I go back to the drawing board and correct myself, or should I shuck off my beliefs out the window and start fresh? But then I come to the realization and remember that everyone is just as lost as I am. But the illusion of sureness is a safe haven from constantly spinning from one existential crisis to the next, like a quinceañera sent in hell. I debate whether I'm fit to be so critical about life and society, and if I do, I'll start droning on like I'm some sort of voodoo mystic and discuss about what I view as the apparent magical component to existence as I roll my eyes back and start speaking in tongues. Or even worse, that this channel will someday be found at the end of my life and will be looked at as some manifesto, and people would be like, yeah, that guy has domestic terrorist energy written all over him. I'm just someone searching for solid ground and centeredness. I'm under the impression that I'm not the only one. The gravity with which we're confronted with on a day-to-day basis of the persistent listlessness of life is insane. When you so much as scrape at the entrance of the rabbit hole, you'll be sucked in at light speed. There is still this other part of me that loves to drift off in fanciful thinking, and the glimmers of hope that are depicted so beautifully in media that I look around and ask, where in the hell are these people living at that makes their life so beautiful? Is there really something to looking at life and seeking the silver lining in everything? Can it work for me? Is the idea of hope real? As you can see, I'm not well versed in that or any field for that matter. I wrestle with giving merit to what I have to say. I have issues with believing that my or anyone's opinion can be taken at face value, and whether anyone truly has any authority in expressing what's on their mind. The slope is so slippery, and the near infinite obstacles of relativity are so abrupt and heavier than all the people on my 600-pound life. That being said, and fat shaming being put to the side, welcome to my slice of YouTube. And I hope, dare I say, dream of being able to find my own niche in existence. Being a social chameleon my entire life, the search for authenticity had never really struck my mind up until recently. I'm 29 years old, I struggle with the first world problem of finding a definite aim in life. Besides being competent in various things, having a strange form of luck, and if I can be blunt, a decent enough personality that doesn't have my neighborhood gathering a posse to chase me out of town. This amalgamation of traits to name Jesse has one burning desire to ask. Does anyone have a clue as to what's going on? Of what I'm sure of, and I know I said that I wasn't really sure of anything, but what I'm at least willing to concede is how beautiful life can be when we are able to truly engage in what we truly love. a sense of weightlessness washes over me when I get into playing music or read a good book. And being engaged in something that involves creativity. There's something in Abraham Maslow's book. If you guys haven't read it, I highly recommend it. It's called The Psychology of Being, right there. In this book, he writes of his theory of self-actualization, but alludes to a person being more expressive, spontaneous, good, and loving when this particular person is incorporated and encouraged into being who they are. So this theory, in summation, is basically in a healthy way, and in a well-rounded person, the person that feels incorporated into their being. I'll give you an example. The comedian makes his jokes, the musician enjoys and makes music, the carpenter builds the house, the salesman makes a sale, and etc. I spent a considerable amount of time around people who, for some reason or other, felt comfortable enough to express to me how miserable they really felt life really was. In spite of the fact that they were interesting, gifted, well-rounded, and just downright interesting. Just, if you met some of the people that I've met, as time goes on, I will go ahead and discuss them. Of course, I'll end up changing their names because, that's how it goes. But great artists, great singers, great people with talent, in regards to even bringing up the architect or the carpenter, for that matter. People that were extremely gifted, but for some odd reason or other were stunted and not allowed to be who they were. And of course, I've seen people, of course, corrupted versions of what you would look at, like say a salesman or a person that would do this sort of thing. Drug dealers, I'm looking at you. But who were good at what they did, in spite of it being a corrupted version of it. More or less looking at where could have that energy been converted to be something positive, and it's not necessarily their fault. It's, at the end of the day, if you really look down at it, it's of course a combination of expressing yourself, but I would be very hard pressed not to blame the community that they grew up in as a whole, and not to blame the community for not having what it necessarily needs to facilitate the growth of people, but being unaware of it and not having education in it and not being able to nurture the greatness of every single person that you come across. It just seems so strange to me. And granted, I've lived a sort of weird life myself. I feel in some ways I wasn't brought up in a certain way, but then again, there's always a reason to be grateful about life. But there is something that there are moments in life where things just get stunted, things just get broken up, and they're not really developed in the proper way or brought up, and it gets depressing. And the universe, in my non-expert opinion, tends to reflect what you're feeling. If not, shows you where and who you can be if you don't take delicate care of your soul. And with as much corruption as there is nowadays, and not to sound all preachy or anything like that, but with as much as things that are able to manipulate you, and it's just strange for you to be one of those people to stand above all of it and look at yourself and be able to say, you know what, I did a good job today, or I wasn't tempted, or I wasn't driven to the point of insanity. It's hard. And hell, I fail at it too, so it's not as if it's anything new for me. With everything that's gone down the past 2 years with COVID, giving many people a chance to realize what's important to them and enough time to actualize themselves, or allowing the isolation to slowly swallow them into some stunted mess. Me personally, I prefer to be in the former camp. COVID's still happening, and there is time. Of course, some things have been lifted and all that, but there is still that ability to expand on what it is that we want to do, or talents, express our talents. And which brings me to this. Brings me to this sort of thing. I'm not really well versed in YouTube. I've uploaded maybe 2-3 videos, but of course I'm probably gonna go and delete them. I want to go ahead and be able to express what's on my mind, express certain things that I like, maybe even show what's around the community that I'm living in, or the community at large. And just to be able to have a means to open myself up emotionally, spiritually, and physically. If it came down to it. I'm not gonna go ahead and say that I'm gonna do crazy stunts, but I'm also not gonna say that I'm not gonna go ahead and do crazy stunts. Hell, possibilities are endless with this sort of thing, isn't it? I guess that's what this whole thing's about. I do hope you enjoy this little tangent as much as I'll probably enjoy editing this video. With that being said, welcome to the Scatterbrain Devotional. I'm Jesse, and here's to you.